We're back.
Late.
G-Chad. Episode 2.
1 month late.
1 month late because Michael sucks.
Actually, no, you need to tell everyone, all of our dedicated listeners, the real reason for the absence.
Okay, I will admit we were on vacation.
Yeah, we broke social distancing rules and regulations.
We definitely did. We broke bread together. We shared the same house. And Maggle says we should record a podcast while we're at the beach. And I says, hey, yeah, I can do that. Little did I know, my fancy Zoom recorder would only accept cards, SD cards that were smaller than 32 gigabytes. 32 gigabytes and under. And I only had...
Nerd stuff.
Nerd stuff. I only had a 64 gig or 128 gig card with me, so we were unable to record. And then things got hectic when we got back, so...
Yes, also you have a toilet in the background, so...
Yes. That's in case I need to go.
In case you need to go.
Yeah.
There you go. So, and I have named myself Poop on the Zoom meeting.
You are Poop.
So we've had a lot of adventures. We also have failed you, dear listener, in the fact that I never drew a self-portrait, and I don't think Ben did either.
I also did not draw a self-portrait, and I've thought about it many times, but it's too late now. So that dream is dead.
I did, however, solve a puzzle while we were on vacation that Ben's wife could not solve, even though she's a master of puzzles. So I hold that forever.
I think you should be honest and say that you did not completely solve the puzzle, but you did advance further than she did.
I did. Well, no, I did completely solve it, but Ben started it, and he gave up.
I did not start it.
I thought it was you starting it.
No, Todd started.
Oh, that's right.
And you finished.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a cut-up piece of Pop-Tart box. That was the puzzle. You had to reassemble the cover, and I was successful, and no one else was.
It took a lot of hard work and dedication.
It did, and it was a lot of memorizing of what a Pop-Tart box looked like.
Yes.
So I had an advantage there.
Yeah, you had an unfair advantage because of your affinity for Pop-Tarts.
Yes.
So here we are. It's episode 2, and I think you have an idea for what we should talk about in episode 2.
I do. So there is a subreddit on the popular internet website reddit.com where you can pose a question to the world of Reddit. Any question you want. It's called AskReddit. That would be r/AskReddit if you want to refer to our questions later on.
Put that in the show notes.
And people just go on here and they just ask random questions. So I have a few. I think we'll take our shot at answering here on the glorious podcast that is G-Chad, and let the public know our opinions, because I think they're dying to know these things. So I sorted it by trending, and the first question off the dot I thought was a pretty good one. It was asked 4 hours ago, and it said, in what movie did you like the bad guy more than the good guy?
Ooh. I have a good one for this.
Okay, you can go first.
Okay. This is a hot take, but I'm going for it. It's a fairly recent film. It's actually an arc of many, many films, but I'm going to go with Thanos from the Avengers. Nice. The whole Avengers series there. Didn't know much about him coming into it. I have not seen every single Marvel film leading up to Infinity War, but dude was kind of a badass, and I wasn't necessarily taken aback by his stance on why he needed to do what he needed to do. I don't know how familiar you are with these films.
I am vaguely familiar.
Okay.
I know that he does the snapping thing.
Yes. So his whole deal is he saves worlds by eliminating about 50% of life on the world. Usually a world that needs it's short on resources and high on population. That's kind of his shtick. Is he'll show up, he wipes out half the population, and then the world flourishes because
So he's
they've
like an
got more.
emo Captain Planet.
Basically, yeah, he's a little more. Yeah, he rather than conserving and things like that, he's like, you know what, half these people need to die. Uh, and living in a world that's short on a lot of resources, I was like, it's not terrible. Like, I mean, and the true sign of a good villain is they're not evil for the sake of being evil. They think that what they're doing is legitimately for the greater good. They believe in what they're doing, and they believe that they're the good guy. And I
Yeah,
felt like Thanos, he was. So anyway, that's mine.
that's an interesting one. That's kind of the same vein I went with. And looking at your posters, it made me think of my choice as Bane, actually. So,
Okay. I was
uh,
definitely thinking, since there's a Lion King poster, I thought you were going to go with Scar.
no, not Scar. Scar is an anarchist, so I don't really agree with him. But Bane, I think Bane was an interesting commentary on society. I think when they put him in was he in Dark Knight Rises? Yeah, I think so.
Correct.
Um, and I thought what he was saying about society as they were portraying it in the movie was pretty interesting. That they're always looking for somebody to save them from their problems rather than look for a solution themselves, and depend on Batman to come in and clean up the mess that they created. Uh, so I thought that he was an interesting character because of the way that he fit into the narrative of Gotham versus when you look at it in the scope of the world. So I just thought it was an interesting character and an interesting take that he could be turned against societal norms so quickly while he was in the pit, and that basically him relying on himself to get himself out of there shaped the way that he would look at everybody else. So it's pretty interesting. And I know you're a big Bane fan.
I did enjoy. I again didn't know much about him before that film, but yes, I very much enjoyed the performance, and I thought it was a really good character. I'm surprised though that given that the poster behind me is actually from The Dark Knight, I thought you were going to go with the Joker, but that's another anarchist.
Yeah, I think the Joker. Well, I mean, I think it was coined perfectly in the movie. Some men just want to watch the world burn, and that's kind of the
Yes.
Joker's deal. He just was so unhappy with the life that he led that he'd rather just destroy the entire being. I guess you could say that about Thanos too.
Yeah,
Interesting. So that was a good one, just rolling off the
that was a
top.
good one. Yeah,
But
and we actually had answers for it pretty quickly. That was surprising.
yeah. So the next interesting one that I found is, what is the weirdest thing that people get offended by?
The weirdest thing people get offended by. I At this point, I think there's too many options for this one.
Well, thinking back to like stupid things that don't really matter, I think it's like people that like blow their nose or sneeze at the dinner table or at a table in general. I feel like that annoys a lot of people, but how are you supposed to control your sneeze? Along those same lines, something that really makes me angry that people get annoyed with is letting your dog pee on grass. So, like, if their grass is in front of their house and you taking your dog for a walk and it pees, and they come out and they're all mad, how are you supposed to control where your dog uses the bathroom? It's a dog. Like,
Yeah, I will
can't
say.
be like,
I mean,
don't pee there, pee over here.
definitely as far as the peeing, that's not that big of a deal. But now if it's pooping and you're just gonna leave it, yeah, I would be offended by that.
Well,
But
I think that's a given. You should pick up
that's
your dog's poop. But
Yeah.
the pee is like I can't control it. So
And it's
what
not
do you
that
want me
big
to
a
do?
deal unless you walk by there every day and they pee in the same spot over and over.
They might. I can't control it. I can't be like, hey, dog, hold your pee until we get to the rest area down the street.
The rest area. There's a doggy pull off coming up for another 2 miles, and there's not another one for 60 more miles.
So in between North Carolina and Virginia, on Interstate 95, there's actually an advertised dog peeing area that is specifically for dogs to go pee.
I did not know that.
It's very interesting.
I'm sure I've passed by it, but I've
Several
never noticed
billboards
it.
advertise it. Yeah, for like 60
Interesting.
miles. Unrelated, something else that I noticed on that trip recently. South of the border, the establishment.
I'm not. Yeah, you mentioned this. I'm not familiar with south of the border.
So apparently, it's either in between Virginia and North Carolina, or North Carolina and South Carolina, or both. There is a stereotypical Mexican establishment there that has like a bunch of restaurants and things to do, like mini golf and stuff like that. And the one that we saw was, I think, in between North and South Carolina, but it had a giant sombrero that would go up and down like a roller coaster type deal. And they have billboards for probably 300 miles along the interstate with like different sayings like "Come see it," and it is like dripping with slime at south of the border, and it's like cheesy, like from the stuff that Doug used to see when they were going to
Like,
Grand Canyon.
Yeah, like tourist traps.
Yeah. So very effective marketing. If you're ever in the area, you should check it out.
I've seen a couple billboards, but I didn't know what it was. And when you talked about it, I thought maybe it was just like a rest stop. I didn't know it was a conglomeration of tourist traps.
Apparently, there's like hotels on the site, so I guess if you really wanted to make it a deal, you could go stay there and do the stuff. But
All right.
yeah, it's interesting. But so you don't have anything that's weird that people get offended by.
I don't know. Like I say, I feel like now we live in a world where literally everything is offensive, and if it's not, it will be soon. I won't say that it's offensive, but people are offended by it. So I don't know. Like I think I'm overwhelmed by options there. And I will say, sneezing at the dinner table, that's one thing, but don't blow your nose.
Really?
Don't blow your nose. That's gross.
So you'd rather my boogers run out onto my face and you have to look
I'd
at
rather
them?
you excuse yourself
I see.
and go to the restroom. Especially, mainly, it's like, I guess I'm going to be as offended by maybe somebody I know, but if I'm at a restaurant, which, I don't know if you remember those, they're places that you would go to eat, and you would sit down with a lot of strangers in the room, and usually there's always somebody honking into a napkin there, and I'm like, I don't want to hear that. Go. There's a restroom just a few feet away. Go in there and do it. Maybe I'm just a weirdo. I'm also not somebody that blows my nose a lot. I don't seem to have a lot of need to blow my nose. So, but when I do, I go somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like my nose runs every time I eat something, whether it's like a peanut butter sandwich or like nachos. So
I know people like that. And usually, it is something spicy that will make somebody's nose run.
So you gotta compensate, but yeah.
I'm glad you brought this up because I've been meaning to talk to you about this for years. Knock it off.
Well, now I know. Now it took me, 10 years of waiting to figure it out. But
That's really the whole ruse that I formed this podcast on, is because I was like, you know what, maybe I can get Michael to bring it up organically.
simple
And
manners. Yeah.
So really, I have no need to do this anymore now.
We can retire after episode 2.
Yeah, and we can just stop right now.
All
I'm
right.
sure I can think of one listener that would be very happy if we stopped right now.
No, too many people like it. It's got traction on the internet. We have
It's true.
multiple geographies listen to our podcast.
Yes. I did get an email from Bombas, and they were like, man, we've never sold as many socks as when you guys pretended to be
Bombas,
sponsored.
did you know that if you buy a pair of Bombas, they will then turn around and donate one to charity?
Did I tell you that my father showed up at my house wearing some Bombas?
Really?
Yeah. For the 1 year birth of my child, my family showed up the weekend before her birthday, and he took his shoes off, and I noticed he was wearing Bombas, and I was like, what do you know?
So what you don't know is that those were comped by Bombas as a result of G-Chat the podcast. Also, we gained a new sponsor over the last couple months. Speedo is now an official sponsor of G-Chat.
I forgot.
They make a high quality pair of swim trunks. The ones with the underwear type thing built into the swimming trunk is very high quality and of good use. I thoroughly enjoy Speedo, and I hope they continue to put out good products. So we're not sponsored by Speedo. We have to say that because we might get litigation against us. But I recommend to go check out the swim trunks.
That is true. While we were at the beach, I noticed pretty much every swimwear item that Michael owned was Speedo branded.
Yes,
So,
Speedo's a good company.
And just so you know, they don't just make the skimpy little bikini bottom thing that you're probably thinking of when you hear the word Speedo.
It's true. It is a brand. They do make multiple items. So check them out online, speedo.com.
Enter code GCHAD for absolutely no discount on your order.
Yeah, you can put it in there, but it will say this is not valid.
This is not a valid promo code.
Good luck. So here's some more interesting thoughts. One that I saw in the list is, what are some non-obvious signs of a smart person?
Non-obvious signs. I would say most smart people I know, and I don't know, maybe this is obvious, but most smart people I know tend to be very messy.
Interesting. So like their workspace is messy?
Their workspace or their living space, or they just tend to be somewhat like, it's like there's so much information in their brain that their organizational skills have gone by the wayside.
Interesting. Who's a good example of someone you noticed that was like that?
You.
I wouldn't say that I'm smart, but I am very messy. My wife does not like that part, but it's part of my being, I guess. I can't control it, so it is what it is.
Yes. I would say you are smart. You are smart in
trivia.
Different ways. Yes, you have a lot of and I feel like I'm very similar. I wouldn't say smart, but I have a wealth of useless knowledge that I don't know how I gained it. But my wife also often says, "How do you?" I'll say something that sounds insane, and I'm like, "No, it's real. Look it up." And she'll look it up. Sorry, I'm terrified. One of the baby's toys is talking by itself, and I didn't know what that was. So
is Chucky?
Yeah, I thought so. Anyway, she'll look up this off the wall thing that I've said and be like, "How did you know that?" Or, "I can't believe that's true. Where did you learn that?" And I have no answer. It's just there.
So an interesting strategy that I use is just to throw out as much fake facts as I can find, and then at some point they'll be real. And
yeah, and that's my wife will say in response to the crazy, like, half the time, like if I do say something off the wall, a lot of times she'll just believe it because she's like, well, I don't know, he's right about so many other weird things. He's probably right about. So I have to also a lot of times make sure I have to clarify that she knows I'm joking.
Yes, I have the same problem. Recently, I joked to one of our friends that my wife was going. Okay. So to rewind on this story, when you type, my wife's name is Emily. When you type Emily in a keyboard on your phone, autocorrect always thinks that it is evilly. I don't know why they do that, but it is. So I started calling my wife evil as a joke because it's funny. And so I was joking. My wife recently got her master's degree from Virginia Tech. And on her diploma, it says Masters of Public Administration. Well, I was joking to one of our friends recently that she was getting her doctorate and she was going to be Dr. Evil, like Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. So our friend thought that it would be cool to get my wife a graduation gift, and she got her a very, very nice engraved mug, like a Yeti-type tumbler deal. And on the side of it was engraved Dr. Evil. And it came out that my wife was actually getting a master's degree, and our friend was very embarrassed, but it made for a pretty funny story. So, get careful where you throw those fake facts out. Make sure people know that you're joking.
Yeah. It'll come back to bite you.
Well, it did kind of, but now it's kind of a pretty funny story.
It was a funny one, yeah.
We have the cup downstairs. I'll have to bring it on the next podcast.
Yes. Put a picture on the Insta.
Yeah. So for my thing that, what is a not so obvious sign of a smart person? I think it's somebody that doesn't say a lot. So you'll find a lot of times that people don't. I guess what do they call that? The Dunning-Kruger effect. People that don't know a lot about something talk like they do know a lot about something, and try to convince others that they know a lot about something. But then, the people that really are smart and understand what's going on, they tend to sit in the background and only respond to direct questions or things where their expertise is needed, not just throw their opinion out there. Probably because they don't want it to get watered down or whatever by other people's information that may or may not be accurate. I don't know.
I would agree with that, and that
Yeah.
was something I thought of as I was thinking of non-obvious signs. Is usually smarter people tend to be more quiet, and I think that there would be some correlation to they don't say much, so therefore they listen more, and smarter people, they could be better listeners, and maybe that's why they know so much.
That's true. That's true. It's interesting to think about, what different people do. Some people will always be getting ready to think about what they're going to say, but then other people are actually listening to respond when you're having a conversation. So it's interesting.
Yes, I don't know how many times I have a conversation with someone, and I can tell that they're not really listening to what I'm saying. They're waiting for their chance to respond because they've already formulated the story or the anecdote that they're going to tell, and they're just waiting for me to finish my sentence so that they can jump in and say, so that I know they're checked out. It's kind of like you are right now.
I'm not checked out. I'm finding our next question as I scroll through this subreddit. But you're right. You're right. That's absolutely something that people do. Is start to, they wait for that green flag to immediately start saying, and you can notice it a lot because it's like a non sequitur, has nothing to do with what you just said.
And the worst is when it's somebody that you've just met, and you can tell like they're trying to make some common ground with you just so they can talk about themselves.
Yeah.
I met a guy once that he was very much he had a lot of irons in the fire, but it just so happened that my particular job he knew nothing about. So he was telling me all about him, and it goes to, what do you do? And I mentioned that I do video. I produce videos for a living, and he goes, oh, okay. And then he jumped right back into talking about him because it was obvious. He's like, oh, I got nothing for that. Let's talk more about things I know about.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, it was a good effort to get to know somebody.
I get that with a lot of salespeople. It's like they're just doing it to seem nice or whatever, but really they just want to sell you their product. So
Yeah.
that's a pretty astute observation. So I scrolled down a little bit farther and I found another one that I thought was interesting because I have a pretty. It's a dumb story, but it's a good example.
Yeah, dumb stories are the best.
What was the best discount that you ever got?
The best discount. I'm gonna have to think on it. So I'm gonna pull what we were just talking about, and while you're talking, I'm not gonna listen. I'm gonna be thinking about my story.
Sounds good. Yeah, that's a good strategy to use if you really want to piss people off. So my story is one time I was driving a pretty long distance, and it was very early in the morning because I had to leave early to get to where I was going at the right time to be productive or whatever. I think I was driving back somewhere to go back to college, and I had class later that morning. So I stopped at a McDonald's on the way to get breakfast, to get something to eat, and I ordered a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. And I sat in the window to pay for food for like 20 minutes. And it was just me in the drive-thru. I don't know what was going on, but it was like, 5:30 in the morning or something ridiculous. So there wasn't many people around. And I'm just sitting there, and nobody's coming to the window. Finally, they come. They get my credit card. And then the girl that was at the window takes it and then walks away. She doesn't put it in the register. She just walks away to do something else. I don't know what she was doing. And then she comes back and puts my card in the machine and runs it. So I hope she didn't copy my number down. This was several years ago, so I haven't had any negative effects from it. But I I got my card back and I pulled up to the window or the next window to get the food, and I looked in my bag and they're like, "Oh yeah, have a good morning. Sorry about the wait." I looked in my bag and I had another bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. So I got a free biscuit for nothing, sitting there in the window, and that was probably the best. Like, I'm not big on discounts. Like, I think if something is priced the way that it is, you know, I'll go look for a promo code or whatever, promo code GCHAD. But
We'll get you nothing on any site.
yeah, but I mean, it is what it is. So I typically, I'll price shop or whatever, but I don't go for like, hey, if I promote this brand on Instagram, give me something for free. Like, that's just not really how I roll. So that's the stupid story behind my best discount ever.
That is quite a story, and I'm sure you're very happy with your free biscuit.
But somebody had to slave over that oven to make the biscuit.
That's true.
So a lot of work went into it.
I'm very similar to you. I will price shop, but I don't do whatever I can to drive the price down as much as I can on everything. Some people, I happen to be married to someone who likes a good deal. She's big into coupons and yeah. So I agree with that. I a lot of times, especially like one that drives me nuts is gas. When people will drive across town to save 3 cents on a gallon of gas, like. Gas costs what it costs. I'm gonna pay whatever it is, wherever's most convenient. I will not.
And the most you're saving is like 5 cents a gallon.
You're driving further out of your way to get a small discount on gas, and you're probably going to burn up what you saved getting back home. Right. Anyway, I'll get off that soapbox. I did think of a story while I was not listening to your story. I was actually listening to your story, but it's funnier to pretend that I wasn't. So
I could totally tell you were not.
No, I really was.
I don't believe you.
I really was. Honestly, I promise. Scout's honor.
That's fake facts.
That's 2 fingers in your butt.
Oh, I thought that was what's that movie with the whistling bird?
Oh. Hunger Games. Yes.
That's it. Yeah.
No, that's fingers in your butt. So my best discount ever is probably on one of the most ridiculous items that I own. And this was at the encouragement of my former employer. We were out at lunch one day. We happened to go to a mall to get something. I think it was a Five Guys that we were going to eat, and it was in a mall. And as we were walking by, we walked through this really weird store that I don't really know where a whole lot of them are, but there's one in Roanoke called Steinmart. Do you know about Steinmart?
Yes. Yeah, we have a Steinmart here in Richmond.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm that's the only one I know of. But I know they're around. I've seen a TV commercial for them, so apparently they're around somewhere.
They are, yeah.
So we're walking through the Steinmart and looking at all. It's just kind of a weird. They had a bunch of weird stuff, and I see the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. It's a little freestanding monkey with a serving tray. And he's in like a smoking jacket, and he's wearing little pants. Yes, and he has a towel over his arm. He's very fancy, but it's like basically a monkey butler, and it's just the little serving tray is like a little surface to put things on, like maybe your keys or a nice scented candle perhaps. But I decided that I needed to have this monkey butler statue. Because, how often do you see one of those?
Yes, true.
And I think they wanted $125 for it.
Wow.
That was what it was marked. And I was like,
I've seen this statue, and it's not worth $125.
It is nice. But yeah, that's a bit pricey for a monkey butler. Because there's not that much room to actually put anything on the tray. So it's not that practical of a space. But, anyway, it's a hilarious key holder. So we left. I was like, I'm not paying $125 for that thing, and my boss just kept kind of egging me on. He was like, "You should have bought that. Come on, you could have talked to him. You could have haggled that price down." I'm like, "No, it's a department store." He's like, "I don't know. There was the only one they had. They're probably trying to get rid of it. You probably could have, convinced him to put it on sale early or something." And he just kept needling me about it. And so that afternoon when I left work, because of course when somebody questions your manhood about something you should have done, I thought,
Yeah, a real man does haggle prices.
a real man would do it. I thought, I'm a real man. So I went back to the Steinmart and I spoke to a woman behind the register and I said, "Look, I want this thing. We're not paying $125 for it." And she goes, "Well, that's what it costs." And I was like, "Yeah, I know, but you'll notice you only got one. And how long has it been sitting there?" And she said it had been there for a while. And I was like, "I give you $75 for it today, right now, and it's gone." And she's like, "I can't do it." And she kind of hemmed and hawed for a little bit. And finally, she talked to her manager, and the manager said, "Yeah, get that thing out of here." So I got the Monkey Butler for less than $100.
Wow.
And it is still in my former office at my former job because, much like when your child leaves for college, you don't change their bedroom. That is how my former office at my former job is. All my stuff is still there, and it's like
Nice.
a museum of when I worked there. I still got all my things in it. So that was the best discount I ever got from a department store that I imagined would never give a discount because they really can't do that. But apparently they really wanted rid of that thing.
It's funny because the whole premise of that store is that they sell stuff that didn't sell in the store originally. So it's like a TJ Maxx or Marshalls or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, you're absolutely right. They probably should not have given you a discount, but
Yeah.
I don't know that $125, Monkey Butler statues are
Especially now because
hot
I didn't
commodity.
know that. I didn't know what Steinmart's thing was. So knowing that,
Yes.
like, yeah, that seems a bit pricey for something in there.
Yeah.
So, but I will include a photo of Mr. Chips in our show notes.
So I think that we have covered some pretty good stuff.
I
And
would agree.
we'll do one more question and then kind of wrap it up from there.
Perfect.
So an interesting one that I found, especially based on your recent revelations of things you've been watching on TV. What are your favorite TV show opening songs?
Ooh. Again, I'm maybe overwhelmed with options here.
Well, that's an interesting question because something
is-
that I would note of is what has happened to the TV opening song.
Yeah.
It seems to be something that
'Cause
they don't do anymore.
A lot of mine are from older shows.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask you to kind of narrow the scope for me here. Is this my favorite? What are my favorite? Like combined, it's my favorite show and my favorite. Like I love this show and it has a great theme song, or is it just I really like this opening theme song for the show?
We can do both, I think.
That's not helping.
So we'll start with what shows that you may or may not actually like, but you really like the theme song.
Okay. I'm gonna go with number one, and this is something I did like very much as a child, but I know that I would not be able to suffer through it now. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series. The
Yes.
theme song is amazing.
Yes.
To this day, I was singing it actually last night to my daughter.
See, I have something very similar. For me, it's Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
That was another one. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
because a lot of them are kids shows, cartoons, because they had such good theme songs. And yeah, that one is high on my list as well. I sing that every now and then. It just gets stuck in my head.
A show that I absolutely hated once I watched it through a few times, but I really liked the theme song was Angry Beavers. Yeah.
I enjoyed Angry Beavers. It was weird, but they did have a great theme song too. That's stuck in my head.
A very weird thing, but for one with humans, probably have to go with Home Improvement is probably up there.
That's a good one.
I don't know. I guess I always liked the ending where Tim Allen would pop out and go, "Oh,"
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. No, that's a good one. Um, I very much enjoy both the show and the theme song. Um, both of these, just gonna lump them together since they're technically related. But The Office and Parks and Rec.
Yes.
I love those theme songs. The U.S. Office, of course, the British Office is a bit more thoughtful and it's a slower paced theme song. But the U.S. version, I love that, and the Parks and Rec, it's just, I don't know, it's very energetic. I very much like that.
I think if you like, I mean, this may just be because I've seen The Office so many times, but if you heard just the song, you would know what somebody was watching.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely.
Yeah. And so, like, in the backgrounds of, like, people's random strangers' Snapchats and stuff that make it to the stories or whatever, I'll hear it and I'll be like, oh, they're watching The Office.
I am such an Office rewatcher that I don't even I'll oftentimes need to hear the theme song if I hear in the background of a Snapchat. I can usually not only pick out what show they're watching, but usually get the episode too. Because, oh, I know where they are.
Right.
Because I'm a nerd.
Yes, The Office has become a frequent player in my household since quarantine has started. Not that it wasn't before, because it was, but
you're just home more now, so.
Well, and you gotta have something, in the background. My wife likes to listen to music while she works. I'm not a real big music person. It tends to distract me more than television for some reason, but that's one that I'll throw on in the background as well.
Yeah, we do that a lot. It's on pretty, and now that we have Comedy Central again for the first time in many years. Apparently that's all they do during the day is run The Office. So it's on a lot.
So you have YouTube TV. Are you forming, a formal complaint against YouTube TV for jacking up your price?
I am not yet. I will be upset when it goes over $100 a month. For some reason, going back to the Monkey Butler story, apparently $100 is my cutoff for things. But it was $40 a month when I started. Then it went up to $50, and now it's $65.
So basically, you could just get cable again, and
that's ultimately what it's going to come down to. You cut the cable, or you cut cables so you can save a lot of money, and they're going to figure out how to, because cable went up every year because they could.
Yeah.
Well, they'll start doing the same thing. Cable will be desperate, and their cable and satellite, but please come back. We'll give it to you for $20 a month. And, it's just the struggle we're in. But we've had a pretty good run with streaming.
Yeah,
TV,
I think so. So one theme song, I just remembered this, that I sing all the time, and I make up different words to it, because that's like my thing, is making parody songs. But Full House. I'm ashamed to say it, but Full House.
Okay. Those definitely got stuck in my head. That one, Step by Step, and Family Matters, when we did those sitcom parody videos.
Yes.
Those were definitely the songs that were stuck in my head a lot. They're not some of my all-time favorites, but I do know the words to them because of childhood and then revisiting them for edits.
So what is your number one favorite theme song of all time? Any show, it doesn't matter which one, or if you liked it or not, but number one theme song.
Gosh, that's tough.
Tough.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It is the best theme song that was ever written. Ever. It is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. The best theme song ever is DuckTales.
That's a hard one to argue.
Yeah.
What about Power Rangers?
Screw Power Rangers. They are trash.
I don't know. Well, don't get me started on Power Rangers, because that's a whole can of worms. I mean, how do you just take a Japanese show and just put English over top of it?
That is a point that I make to a friend of mine frequently, who is a big Power Ranger supporter over Ninja Turtles, and
it's not original. You stole somebody's idea.
Exactly. From the 70s. It's very old Japanese programming that they just recycled. And when I found that out, I was a huge Power Rangers fan as a child. When it hit the scene, I was all in. And when I found out that it was old Japanese footage from a completely different show, I was out. I dropped Power Rangers like a bad habit, and I've never felt so heartbroken and betrayed as I did by the Power Rangers, and that's when I make the point to a friend of mine who defends the Power Rangers. He knows that what they've done, and he's okay with it. And like, who never broke my heart like that? Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael, the Ninja Turtles.
Now, are you partial to the cartoon Ninja Turtles or the claymation live-action Ninja Turtles?
I am partial to the now, of course, like I say, because of the theme song and my memories growing up, I know I couldn't watch them now because it was basically a Saturday morning show designed to sell toys.
Like all Saturday morning shows.
Like all Saturday morning shows. I know that it wouldn't hold the same weight and importance to me watching them now, but I do very much have an affinity for the cartoon, the 80s cartoon.
Yeah.
But there will never be a Ninja Turtles film better than the original film they did, the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was more of a comic book adaptation than the Saturday morning show.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic. It's a great movie, not just a Ninja Turtle movie. It's just a great movie. So, and on my shelf right here, right above my head, I have the Ninja Turtles. I forget what company makes them, but like they're inspired by that film. Not the. I have those, and I have the comic book Turtles as well. I don't have any of the. No, don't get me wrong. I've got all the toys in the shed from the 80s cartoon, 80s and 90s. Those are all they're all here, but I don't have them displayed on my shelf like I do the others. Need to put a
Very
picture of those in
interesting.
the show notes.
Yeah, I don't know that I have an all-time favorite. I have to think about that.
It was tough, and then because I mean, man, that was honestly when Disney Plus was getting ready to launch. I was more hyped for watching DuckTales than anything else, and not because of the show. I just wanted to hear the theme song over and over again.
Do you think they'll ever make... Because they're making live action pretty much everything now for some reason. I don't know why that's a thing, but will they ever make a live action DuckTales, or did they announce one that I heard about? Am I making that up?
No, not that I know of, but they did. I mean, DuckTales is a cartoon now. They've rebooted.
Oh, that must have been what it was. Okay.
Because I was really hyped one day, way before Disney Plus. My wife and I were flipping through the YouTube TV, and I saw DuckTales was on. I was like, oh, and it was on some weird Disney channel. So it's like, oh, they're rerunning the old DuckTales, and we clicked on, and it's completely different. I mean, not completely. Like, it's the same characters, but the art style, it's updated, and so we were both like, oh, we were kind of disappointed because we both wanted to see the old school DuckTales.
Yeah, I would be interested to see how they recreate a man diving, or an anthropomorphic duck diving into a vat of coins in live action. That would be...
I feel like, and I'll have to put this in the show notes too. Gosh, the show notes are going to be chock full of stuff today that I can actually do. I don't have to draw anything. Typing this down so I don't forget it. Typing this down. I'm so old.
On his typewriter that he uses.
Typewriter. Ding! I don't believe in the new DuckTales they have the Scrooge diving into the pit of gold.
Corporate greed.
The whole, like the little theme of this new DuckTales intro, it's the same song. Obviously an updated version of it, but the lyrics are the same. The whole point, this theme that's stitched through the intro for the new one is he's chasing a dime. Scrooge is trying to get his dime back, and the intro is pretty cool. The show is a little absurd for me as far as not that the original wasn't, but it's weird for the sake of weird, I guess.
Yeah. So there was always, when I was growing up, there was always two camps. You either watch Cartoon Network or Nick. And Cartoon Network was always that weird absurdness for the sake of being absurd to me. So I was not a Cartoon Network person, but I think that's kind of the same deal there.
And while we're talking about theme songs, I mean, we can't leave out Doug.
I know. Well, I was thinking about it while we were talking, and I think Doug would probably be my number one.
Doug's got to be top 5 for me, because that is without ever saying a word, that's just a great theme song.
And that I thought that was really, it's the animation during that's really cool. So like the video that goes along with the song is pretty neat. How they're kind of going along the pencil line and stuff. That's pretty cool. And when Roger comes out, it changes the get that guitar riff.
Did you know? I'm going to go on some Doug trivia here because I'm a nerd. Did you know that? Do you know who Billy West is?
Is he a voice actor?
He is a voice actor.
Yeah, I think I saw him in a movie.
Yeah, Billy West is like the voice of everything. He's like the Red M&M. He was Ren and Stimpy. He was most of the cast of Futurama.
Okay, then I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah.
He's he on Futurama. He was like Fry and Professor Farnsworth and Zoidberg and various others. But Billy West is if you've seen anything animated, chances are you've seen something that Billy West is the voice of. He was the voice of Doug as well as the voice of Roger Klotz in the original, the old school Doug episodes.
Yeah.
So, and apparently, I think this is right, but I could be wrong. I think this is the show that he would also, like, if there was a scene, a Doug and Roger scene, he wouldn't record Doug's lines and then records. He would just go back and forth because he was
crazy.
both characters. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, Billy West, you've heard his voice, even if you don't know his name, you've heard his voice because the guy, he's almost every character ever. So.
I will make a documentary recommendation because that's like all I watch pretty much ever. And I think you've seen this one because we talked about it. But if you like to learn more about voice acting, there's one called I Know That Voice. Mm-hmm. It's either on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon somewhere. And he's in there. So that's a really cool look at voice acting and what all it takes for people to be successful at that. And basically, they have to book roles like 24/7 to make a decent amount of money. So it's a really interesting movie if y'all want to learn more about voice acting.
Yes, indeed, and that is I have seen that. I think I saw it on Netflix years ago.
Yeah,
but
it floats around the different services.
Yeah,
you just have to find this one.
Who knows where it is now? But yeah, it's a really good one.
Well, I think in the vein of everything else, that's about it for me. Ran out of questions here. I'm back into like last week now, so
that's okay. I feel like we our first episode we got off the rails so much that it was long. It shouldn't be that long. We don't want to exhaust anybody.
And we're not really that interesting anyway.
Well, you're not.
It's true. I don't do very much. I haven't left my house since like March.
That is
except to go on vacation.
That's not true. I've seen you in a different state.
That is true. I might have gone to a different state.
Yes.
Don't report me.
Yes. I mean, we're not under... Well, we don't want to incriminate ourselves. We'll just skip over that. But anyway, well, you know what? I enjoyed the walk down Reddit, and so we'll have to do some more Reddit-themed episodes, I feel like, because I know you're a big fan of Reddit.
I do. Yeah, I do enjoy it. I like the the philosophical debates that go on there about different things and different answers that people have. Can get kind of nerdy sometimes, but
that's pretty much all I use Reddit for is nerd stuff. If I need to know something nerdy, I go to Reddit. So.
Well, like that first question we were talking about, the bad guy, there's like all these anime answers and stuff that I have no clue what's going on because I'm not into that stuff. But, more power to you if you are, whatever. So, yeah, it's been an interesting dive in. We'll have to get back. And I have no clue what the next theme is going to be, but I'm sure it will be something fun to talk about.
What's great about it is we don't have to do it till next month. So
that's right. Yeah. As long as our recorder works.
Hey, you know what? As long as we're quarantined, we got no problems.
That's true.
If we're in the same spot, we might have some problems.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I think we'll call it a day, and we will talk with everyone next month.
Make sure to visit our sponsor, Speedo, Bombas,
Full House,
DuckTales. Use
Netflix.
Use promo code GCHAD to get an error code on your purchase. And I guess that's.
They may charge you more. I don't know.
They probably will. For using fraudulent promo codes. Also, visit RoundThatDonkeyProductions.com for all your video needs and
also,
RTDshop.com.
visit toddsucks.com, either TODDSUCKS or
And
TODDSUX.com.
DukeHouston.com. Or
There you go.
yeah, but anyway, you'll be able to find the RTD shop and hopefully find yourself some Group Chat After Dark merchandise soon. But anyway,
Well, I'm David Pumpkins.
I-
Any questions?
and he's gone. Good night, everybody.